The smell of engine oil and fresh paint hung in the air as the bright lights of the Mercedes truck showroom gleamed off polished chrome. A group of executives, dressed in sleek suits and heels, laughed lightly as a ragged old man stepped hesitantly through the glass doors. His beard was long and white, his cap torn at the edge, and his shirt stained with the marks of many long days and nights on the road. He looked like a man out of place in a world of luxury. But what no one knew was that this moment, this one encounter, would change everything. He walked slowly, his boots scraping against the showroom tiles, his worn backpack slung over one shoulder. A few mechanics turned their heads. The three women standing near the front desk exchanged puzzled glances. One of them, the manager, Miranda Hale, silver-haired and confident, raised an eyebrow as the old man's eyes scanned the room. He stopped near the largest white truck, placed his calloused hand on the cool chrome grille, and whispered as if greeting an old friend. "She's a beauty," he said softly. Then he looked up and announced in a gravelly voice that carried across the room, "I'll take 5 of these." The words hung in the air like an absurd joke. One of the women, Julia, young, bright, and new to the job, stifled a laugh. The others didn't even bother to hide theirs. Miranda smirked and said, "Sir, these aren't bicycles. Each one costs more than most people make in a lifetime." The men simply nodded, his expression calm. "I know," he said, "and I'll take 5. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us never to judge too quickly, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. It helps more people see stories that move the heart." Back in the showroom, laughter echoed, but something about the old man's calm unsettled Miranda. There was no arrogance in his eyes, no delusion, just a strange, quiet certainty. "Sir," she said, trying to keep her tone professional, "perhaps you're in the wrong place. There's a used vehicle lot down the street." He smiled faintly. "I'm in the right place," he replied, adjusting the strap of his backpack. "But maybe you're seeing the wrong man." They turned away, whispering to each other as he walked toward the coffee machine in the corner, pouring himself a small paper cup of water. No one noticed that his hands, though rough, moved with the steadiness of someone used to handling heavy machines. No one knew that those same hands had once steered convoys through desert wars, built engines from scraps, or carried his only son's coffin down a muddy road years ago. His name was Harold Brintley, once an engineer, a soldier, a husband. Life had taken everything from him. His wife, Clara, had passed away in a hospital he couldn't afford to keep her in. His company, the small trucking business he built from scratch, had been swallowed by corporate sharks. In a single year, he'd gone from being a respected man to sleeping in his old workshop, using his backpack as a pillow. But Harold wasn't the kind to quit. He believed in the road, that long, endless path that could lead anywhere, if you just kept walking. For 5 years, he'd been saving every cent, repairing broken trucks on the roadside, sleeping in abandoned garages, eating from vending machines, all while quietly building a dream no one believed in anymore, a transport company run by people who had lost everything. Veterans, single mothers, the homeless, anyone who just needed a chance to stand again. He called it Second Route Logistics. And today was the day it would be born. Miranda sighed and went back to her paperwork, but when she looked up again, Harold was standing beside the reception desk, holding out a small stack of documents. "Here's my purchase order," he said, handing it to her with a steady hand. She blinked. It was real, properly stamped, company details filled in, all signatures in place. Julia leaned closer, reading aloud, "Second Route Logistics Incorporated." Miranda frowned. "Who authorized this?" she asked. "Our finance division will need," but then she froze. The signature at the bottom was one she recognized. Her eyes widened. It was from the regional head of Mercedes Commercial Partnerships himself, a man who only approved orders of exceptional clients. Miranda looked up at Harold, stunned. How did you get this?" she whispered. He gave a tired smile. "He was my student once," he said softly. "Back when I still taught mechanical logistics. I fixed his trucks before he had a company to run." Silence filled the room. The laughter from earlier now felt heavy, shameful. Julia lowered her eyes. The third woman, Serena, stepped forward and said quietly, "Mr. Brintley, I'm so sorry for," but he raised a hand gently. "No need," he said. You were only doing what the world teaches, to see with eyes, not with heart. The next hour was a blur of activity. Papers were verified, calls made, and within moments, everything checked out. Harold wasn't some delusional wanderer. His payment had already been wired. He wasn't buying 5 trucks to boast, he was building a future. Later that afternoon, as the showroom emptied and the light softened, Harold walked slowly toward the delivery bay. Miranda followed him quietly. "You know," she said after a long silence, "I judged you the moment you walked in. I saw your clothes, your hands, your bag, and I thought you were just another old man with a dream too big for reality." He looked at her and smiled. Dreams don't get smaller because people stop believing. They just wait for the right hands to build them again. He paused, glancing back at the gleaming trucks lined up like sentinels. These machines will feed families. They'll carry hope from one town to another. That's worth more than pride, don't you think? For the first time in years, Miranda's eyes softened. "It is," she said quietly. When the trucks finally rolled out the next morning, driven by a team of men and women who had been sleeping in shelters just days earlier, the entire town watched. Word spread quickly about the ragged men who walked into a Mercedes showroom and bought 5 trucks to rebuild lives, not fortunes. A week later, the showroom received a handwritten note in the mail.